Kelly, middle school language arts teacher and author of the Lucia Chronicles. Today I am bringing you a book review, and the book review is for Esperanza Rising, which you could be using in your middle school language arts classroom. Let me tell you a little bit about the book. It's by Pam Munoz Ryan, and it is very well written. I would say it's probably at a 4th or 5th grade reading level. It is historical fiction, and it takes place after the Mexican Revolution, and it's about Esperanza's journey from being a wealthy citizen in Mexico to traveling to the United States to work in one of the, I guess you would call it, farms that gets produce and packs vegetables and things like that after her father dies and her uncles try to force her mother into marriage. It's a very interesting story. At first and I talked to some of my students about this who had read it. I unfortunately can't teach it in my classroom because some of them had read it in 5th grade last year, and I teach 6th grade. So it's a beautiful story about Esperanza, and Esperanza, at first you don't really like her very much. You kind of think she's a wealthy brat, and honestly, eventually the story evolves and you realize that she just doesn't know any better. She's just ignorant of others in the situation, and she's forced into these circumstances where she is either forced to adapt or to not thrive. And Esperanza, I guess, means hope, which kind of is, you know, the story's underlying message. And then in the back of the book, there's an author's note about how it's based on Munoz Ryan's grandmother's life and how she came to the United States. And it has a lot of interesting issues. It actually talks about something in the author's note that I actually never learned in social studies at all, and I guess it's called repatriation. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's about how Mexicans, whether they were United citizens or not, were sent back to Mexico and around the Great Depression time. And it's very interesting because that's something I never learned about in any of my social studies classes in my K through 12 education, or in any of the social studies classes I had to take in order to get my license to be a teacher, because I'm licensed in language arts and social studies. And I think that's really interesting. You know, the Hispanic population is the fastest growing minority population in the United States, and I teach in a school that is, you know, like more than half or almost half English language learners. And this book is great because it's written at a level that is understandable for students but enjoyable for an adult to read as well. You can do cross-curricular historical tie-ins with the social studies. It's great for vocabulary because there is some vocabulary in there that students may not be familiar with, but not too much. It also incorporates Spanish, and after the Spanish, it's italicized. They'll have what it said in English. The person just repeats it in Spanish and then in English. And Esperanza, the character, is not fluent in English. She is a Spanish speaker. I just thought it was a really interesting book, and as an adult, it moved me. I would put it in the same category as if you've ever read Walk Two Moons, which I thought was another beautiful story. It's about a Native American girl, and that's a wonderful story as well. And it's kind of in that same category for me. It's historical fiction, but it's also realistic. It's about struggle and overcoming your struggles and finding hope in really desolate situations. And it kind of could be a heavy book to teach in a classroom, but I think if you teach between 4th and 6th grade, depending on the level of your students, that it would be a book well worth your time to teach in your middle school language arts classroom. And I think that if you are just into reading, whether it's young adult or you know, just reading in general, I think that it's a good book, a quick read if you're an adult, and I think that you will find it enjoyable. So my recommendation in this book review is for Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan, and I highly recommend this book for your middle school language arts classroom. In the meanwhile, happy reading and happy writing.